At the control station, I reached for the stop switch as the main curtain started rising. Across the stage, my wife, Tessa, had both arms around Raphael Crane, and his mouth was on hers. 1,200 parents faced that slow, bright reveal. Tessa pulled back, but Raphael kept one hand against her waist. The clock showed the curtain had started exactly 90 seconds early. I stopped it halfway, locked the next cue, and called backstage. "Keep every student where they are," I said. I was Owen Mercer, manager of our public school auditorium. Tessa directed the choir, and Raphael was the guest conductor. This was the state showcase preview, and my first job was keeping students off stage. I checked the cue sheet, our timed list of stage actions. My command had not started the curtain. A programmed preview had triggered without my approval. Tessa stepped toward the control station after I lowered the heavy fabric barrier. "That was publicity," she said. "Raphael wanted a warm image for the program." Raphael adjusted his jacket behind her. "After all these months, affection should not frighten anyone." The warm-up block had been booked as closed rehearsal time, and Raphael had requested that restriction himself. Publicity did not require his hand beneath her jacket. It also did not explain Tessa touching his face after they separated. I lowered the curtain fully after confirming its marked path was clear, then canceled the student entrance. "June gets no private coaching with him," I told Tessa. Our daughter had been scheduled alone with Raphael the next afternoon. I opened the booking record and confirmed his closed room request. Tessa had approved it under her school account, so I looked at my wife. "How many residencies did you use to hide this?" We reached our kitchen near midnight during week 1. Tessa set her showcase folder beside the sink and kept one hand on it. I remained across the table because the distance felt more honest than standing close. "Call it what it was," I said. Tessa watched the dark window above the sink. "I had an affair with Raphael." "Was it sexual?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "It happened once, after a rehearsal." The plain answer brought a short, bitter relief. At least I no longer had to argue about publicity. "When did it happen?" I asked. Tessa tightened her grip on the folder. "The date does not change what I did." "It changes whether he meant those months," I said. She said Raphael often spoke that way about artistic work. Then she asked me to protect the showcase before judging her. "There are schedules, contracts, and students depending on us," she said. "Please do not wreck everything over one finished lapse." I heard the request beneath her apology because she wanted the program protected from the truth. "You sleep in the guest room?" I said. "We stop acting married tonight." Tessa lowered her eyes and nodded. "You have no private contact with Raphael," I continued. "No calls, rides, meals, or closed rehearsals." "I can agree to that," she said. "June is finished with his private coaching," I told her. Tessa looked up sharply. "Her solo depends on that coaching." "Then the solo changes," I said. She said June had worked all year for the state showcase. I reminded her that our daughter was 16, not a bargaining piece. Tessa walked to the counter and turned her phone face down. She promised there would be no more contact outside required group rehearsals. I wanted to believe a boundary could still mean something. I also wanted one clean fact that did not come from her mouth. "Show me the date," I said. Tessa shook her head. "Not tonight." She carried her folder toward the guest room. Before leaving, she asked me not to examine residency schedules at work. That request settled the question for me. I would not search her phone or follow her. I would check only the records I already handled. If one lapse was true, ordinary dates would support it. The next morning, I found June in our music room. My daughter sat at the old piano, playing one quiet scale repeatedly. I told her the private coaching session was canceled. I did not mention the kiss until she closed the piano lid. "Did Raphael do something to a student?" she asked. "No," I said. "This concerns your mother and me. But it affects what I can permit." June studied my face for several seconds. She understood more than I wanted her to understand. "Did Mom lie to you?" she asked. "Yes, but I'm still finding out how much." She moved a sealed envelope away from my side of the piano. Her name was written across the front in her own hand. "What is that?" I asked. June kept her palm over it. "Raphael gave us a private coaching prompt. We wrote one true thing that affects how we sing." Only then did she call it a truth card. Each student sealed the card before giving it to Raphael. "He said nobody else would hear it," June said. "He might discuss it with us during coaching." "Did you agree he could use the words on stage?" I asked. "No, we agreed to private coaching." I asked whether her mother had been present. June said Tessa had helped pass out envelopes, but June would not guess what Tessa knew. "May I see your card?" I asked. "No," June said. "My privacy does not become your evidence because Mom hurt you." The answer landed harder than anger, because I had treated protection like automatic permission. "You are right," I said. "Keep it sealed." June placed the envelope inside her music case and closed both latches. She asked whether losing Raphael meant losing her solo. "I do not know yet," I said. "You will not meet him alone." She nodded, although disappointment tightened her mouth. Before leaving, I asked what the students had actually been promised. June repeated the terms without revealing one word from her card. Private coaching and limited discussion were allowed, but there would be no public reading. That promise now stood beside Tessa's request about the schedules. I needed to learn whether the school records told the same story. Later that morning, I entered the auditorium office and opened the booking system. Managing those records was part of my regular job. I scheduled rooms, checked access needs, and printed daily changes. I did not open messages, private files, or student records. Raphael's closed warm-up block appeared first. His request required locked side doors and no student entry until the listed call time. I searched only other bookings under his guest residency. 4 more closed blocks appeared across 7 months. Tessa had approved changes on each one. Her notes called them planning sessions or conductor preparation. I printed those pages because they affected auditorium access, leaving every unrelated booking untouched. Malik Stone, the assistant superintendent, entered while the printer was running. He oversaw the showcase contract and my annual review. "I heard about last night," Malik said. "That kiss sounds like a family matter." "It became an auditorium matter when a closed booking hit it," I said. Malik looked at the pages without touching them. "Do not turn staff access into a personal investigation." "I am checking rooms I manage," I said. "These locks and call times fall under my duties." "Then stay inside those duties," he replied. "No private accounts and no broad searches." I agreed because the limit was proper. I also told him June had been removed from closed coaching. Malik said student coaching belonged to Tessa's department. I answered that parental consent still belonged to me. He asked whether I planned to file a complaint. I said I needed facts before making any claim beyond the witnessed kiss. After Malik left, I compared the printed pages with our staff binder. Raphael had requested every closed block. Tessa had changed room access for 3 of them. One change also replaced the emergency contact attached to the auditorium booking. My name had been removed, and Tessa's personal number appeared in its place. I had never approved that change, though emergencies reached me as auditorium manager. The entry carried a March date, months before Tessa's claimed single lapse. I copied only that page and returned the binder. Then I went to find the original staff copy beside the Q cabinet. The original staff copy remained inside the Q cabinet that afternoon. I unfolded it on the office counter and checked the dates. The March 14th booking listed me as emergency contact. A later change, approved by Tessa, replaced me with her private number. Closed sessions followed on May 9th, August 22nd, and October 8th. Raphael had requested each room restriction. Tessa entered before I finished making a relevant copy. She saw the page and reached across the counter. "That sheet is outdated," she said. "Give it to me." I placed my hand over the original. "It belongs in the staff file." "You are using work papers against your wife," Tessa said. "I am documenting a contact change I never approved." Tessa said Raphael needed someone familiar with choir schedules. She called the change practical and temporary. "Why use your private number?" I asked. "Because I answer it during rehearsals," she said. "Why remove the person responsible for the building?" She looked toward the open office door, then asked me to lower my voice. I finished copying the page and returned the original to its folder. Tessa watched me lock the Q cabinet. "You promised no contact last night," I said. "I have kept that promise," Tessa replied. The booking printer started behind us, and a new change page slid into the tray. That evening's choir room had been changed from open practice to closed rehearsal. Tessa had approved the change 20 minutes earlier. Raphael was listed as conductor, while Tessa was listed as the staff director attending. She reached for that page, but I picked it up first. The room was part of the auditorium complex, so I had to verify its access plan. "That is a schedule review," Tessa said. "It is not personal contact." "It is a closed room with Raphael," I said. "Other staff will be there," she replied. Name them, I said. Tessa said the accompanist might attend, but she would not say anyone had confirmed. I copied the access page and returned the original to the tray. Then I checked the rehearsal time. It began after the students' regular practice ended. I could verify the room without entering their session. Tessa left with her folder pressed against her chest. Our guarded hope had lasted less than 1 day. That evening, I waited until the student practice ended. The last choir member left through the lobby with a parent. I checked the hallway before approaching the closed rehearsal room. Its narrow window showed the piano, music stands, and 3 empty rows. Tessa stood beside Raphael, the guest conductor, with no students or other staff present. Raphael held the room key and pointed toward a marked score. Tessa leaned close enough that their shoulders stayed pressed together. I opened the door with my staff key, and Tessa stepped away from him. You cannot interrupt a scheduled rehearsal, she said. I came to verify the access plan, I said. You told me other staff would attend. Raphael closed the score and moved between Tessa and the door. This is artistic preparation, not your family argument. The booking lists a staff review, I said. Where is the other staff member? Tessa said Beth had left early. Beth Ames was the choir accompanist, and she kept attendance for special rehearsals. A clipboard rested on the piano. The top sheet listed that evening's date and Beth's earlier arrival time. Her departure line was blank, and Tessa's name did not appear anywhere. I did not take the sheet or touch Raphael's score. I noted the room, the time, and the people present. You promised no contact, I told Tessa. This work is required, she said. I cannot abandon the showcase because you are angry. Raphael opened the door wider and gestured toward the hall. Your access does not give you control over my rehearsal. His words turned my routine building check into an accusation. I knew that move could reach Malik before I did. I checked the marked curtain path stored along one wall. Nothing blocked it, and no students remained nearby. Then I left without stopping their session. My presence had verified the booking, which was all my job allowed. Tessa followed me into the hall and denied hiding anything. Behind her, Raphael locked the door again. The one-lapse account was finished. She had broken her pledge before its first full day ended. Beth's dated attendance sheet remained on the piano. Only Beth could explain when she left and what Tessa had asked her to conceal. Week 2 began in the rehearsal piano storage area, where Beth was sorting music into boxes. Beth Ames, the choir accompanist, kept careful notes for every special session. I asked about the closed rehearsal from the night before. I can confirm when I was there, she said. I cannot tell you what anything meant. I only want what you witnessed, I replied. Beth closed the box and studied my face. This could damage the whole choir. I know, so I need a narrow answer, I said. She said Raphael had asked her to attend the first half hour. He changed several cuts while she played them. Tessa arrived after the listed start time, and her name was not on the attendance sheet. Did she ask you to leave? I asked. She said they needed to discuss the showcase alone, Beth replied. Beth packed her music and stopped beside the piano. Before leaving, she received one more request from Tessa. She asked me not to mention that she attended, Beth said. The storage room seemed smaller after those words, so I kept my hands against a shelf. Did you write that down? I asked. Beth opened her accompaniment binder, where each page listed the date, music covered, and staff present. She found the prior evening's page and said, "This is for October 9th. Please read the relevant line aloud," I said. Beth read it slowly. She had written that Tessa joined Raphael after regular practice and remained when Beth left. The entry carried the same October 9th date and matched when I saw them through the door. I wrote it before going home, Beth said. I did not know you would need it. I need only that page, I replied. Beth took it to the copier outside the storage room. She covered the unrelated student notes before making one copy. Then she signed beneath the copied entry and added that it matched her original record. I am not saying they had an affair, she said. I will not ask you to say that, I replied. I am saying Tessa was there, Beth said. I am saying she wanted silence. Beth handed me the page but kept the binder, her fingers resting on the copy for a moment. Do not use me to punish her, she said. I am testing what she told me, I replied. Beth released the page. Then test only that. I placed it beside the booking copy in my work folder. Neither page explained what had happened to my marriage. Together they proved the rehearsal had been concealed, and my own observation no longer stood alone. That evening, I would ask Tessa for one account that fit every dated fact. That evening, Beth sat with us at the dining room table while Tessa kept her arms folded. Beth identified her October 9th accompaniment entry and confirmed that Tessa had requested silence about the session. "That is all I witnessed," Beth said. Tessa stared at the page. "You brought a choir employee into our marriage?" "I asked her to confirm her own record," I said. Beth stood before Tessa could answer, then took her coat and left us with the documents. I began with the March 14th contact change, then named the closed bookings from May, August, and October. Tessa said I had no right to build a case from staff records. "I handled those records as part of my job," I said. "I copied only changes tied to my duties." "You were searching for a reason to distrust me," Tessa replied. "I watched you kiss him," I said. She looked toward the dark kitchen while I kept my voice low and asked about the March booking. Tessa admitted Raphael had requested the closed block and that she had changed the emergency contact herself. "Was the affair already happening then?" I asked. Tessa said the relationship had not been clear at first, so I asked for a direct answer. "Yes," she said. I moved through the later bookings, which she described as partly professional and partly personal. "Did the affair continue between them?" I asked. Tessa pressed both palms against the table. "Yes." "Was it sexual?" I asked. "Yes," she replied. "How long?" I asked. 7 months, she said. The answer settled every date into one line. There had been no finished lapse or honest pause. Tessa said she had tried to end it several times, but the showcase kept bringing them together. "You used school residencies to hide it?" I said. "I used the work to see him," she replied. "I know what that means." She asked me not to break the family apart before the showcase. June needed stability, and the choir needed its director. For one day, I had believed repair might remain possible. That hope had depended on one lapse and no further contact. Both claims were gone. "We will keep separate rooms and discuss June together when needed," I said. Tessa asked whether we could return to counseling after the showcase. "I will attend co-parenting meetings," I said. "I will not discuss reconciliation." She lowered her head but did not argue. I gathered the copies while the original records remained where they belonged. My next step would be a truthful separation through proper channels. Grief remained, but it no longer set my direction because the facts did. The next afternoon, June, my daughter, waited beside the choir rehearsal hall with her music against her chest. The casting sheet hung near the door, with her name crossed out beside the featured song part. Raphael, the guest conductor, stood inside holding a pencil. I asked why June's solo had changed. "A solo is an artistic choice," he said. "No student owns one." June stepped closer. "You said I was ready yesterday." "Yesterday you were taking part in the full process," Raphael replied. I knew what he meant, but I made him say it. "What changed in the process?" I asked. Raphael tapped the folder under his arm. "June withdrew from closed coaching. That affected my confidence in her preparation." "We withdrew permission," I said. "She did not refuse rehearsal." "Private coaching is part of how I shape a performance," Raphael replied. June looked at her crossed-out name. "I could come back for one session." "No," I said. Her face tightened, and I moved beside her so she would not face Raphael alone. "You do not bargain away a boundary for a song," I told her. Raphael said I was making June carry my anger and called his decision professional and final. "Would the solo return if she resumed closed coaching?" I asked. "I would review her readiness," Raphael said. That answer was clear enough. Private coaching access now controlled access to a featured song part. June asked who had replaced her, and Raphael said another student had accepted the full rehearsal plan. He returned to the piano and began marking music, ending the conversation with his authority. I took June's bag and walked into the hall. She waited until the rehearsal door shut behind us. "I earned that part," she said. "I know," I replied. "If I refuse everything, he gets to call me difficult," June said. "You did not refuse everything," I told her. June said each student had received a form with the private card, describing how those answers could be used. "Do you still have yours?" I asked. "The card is sealed and the form is at home," she replied. I had entered the hall, focused on Raphael's hold over our family, but I left with a wider duty. June's lost solo was not only retaliation against me, it showed how private access could be tied to public opportunity. I would not ask Raphael to restore her name because that would let him set the price. Instead, I would read the form and protect its promised boundary. The complaint had to cover every student, not only mine. That evening, June met me in the music room with her sealed envelope beside a folded permission form. She kept one hand over the envelope. "You do not get to read my card." "I do not want to read it," I said. "Not even if it helps prove what he did?" June asked. "Not even then," I replied. June slid the form toward me, and I read only the parts explaining how the cards could be used. Students could answer personal prompts or leave them blank. Their answers were for private coaching and small rehearsal groups. The form gave no permission for public reading or for names, details, or direct phrases on stage. "Did anyone explain something different?" I asked. "Raphael said truth makes music real," June replied. "Did he say he would quote the cards?" I asked. "Not directly," she said. June said the envelopes were collected after coaching. Students had been told their cards would stay private with the music team. I pointed to the sealed envelope. "How did you keep yours?" "I asked for it back after you stopped the coaching," she replied. Other students had not asked for theirs. Their cards remained in a locked rehearsal cabinet controlled by Raphael and Tessa. I wrote down the form's plain limits without copying June's answers or touching the envelope. "We can use this to challenge the solo decision," I said. June shook her head. "That makes it about me." "It started with what he did to you," I replied. "It did not end there," she said. She asked what would happen to students who had shared more. Some needed choir more than they trusted the adults running it. "If you complain, ask for all the cards back," June said. "I can request yours," I replied. "You can tell the district the promise applies to everyone," she said. Her answer stopped me because I had been ready to fight Raphael's punishment. June wanted a safer line. The complaint could describe the written limit and request card returns without exposing one answer. "I will leave the affair out," I said. "Good," June replied. "It is not needed to prove what the form allowed," I said. June folded the paper and made a copy for me. She returned the original to the envelope without opening it. I asked whether she wanted me to demand her solo back. "No," she said. "I want him unable to trade parts for secrets." That became the boundary, and I would not use student privacy as a weapon in my marriage. I would file a narrow consent complaint while June's sealed card remained hers. The next morning, I met Malik Stone, the assistant superintendent, in his district office with June's copied form and my complaint. Malik read the complaint twice before setting it apart from the form. "You are alleging improper use of student material," he said. "I am reporting a gap in consent," I replied. "You are also married to the choir director," Malik said. "That is why I kept the affair out," I told him. Malik asked what result I wanted, and I requested June's card and protection for every student's private answers. "Has any card been used in public?" he asked. "Not that I know," I replied. "Then this concerns possible use, not a completed disclosure," Malik said. "It also concerns how the cards were collected and held," I replied. I showed him the sentence limiting answers to coaching and small rehearsal groups, then explained the limit plainly. Students had agreed to private help, but they had not agreed to public quotation. Malik asked whether June wanted her solo restored. I said the complaint did not seek any casting decision. He leaned back and watched me. "That restraint helps, but it does not remove your conflict." Malik said the district had to check whether personal and job duties overlapped. He called that process a conflict review. The district would examine my use of booking records and Raphael's collection and control of the cards. "I copied records already within my work duties," I said. "Did you preserve anything unrelated?" Malik asked. "No," I replied. "Did you enter any room outside your access?" he asked. "No," I said. Malik wrote down both answers and said I could remain in my current auditorium job during the review. He made no promise about returning the cards and refused to order Raphael away from the showcase. "I need facts from the choir staff," Malik said. "That includes your wife." "I understand," I replied. "Do you understand that filing this exposes your conduct too?" he asked. "Yes," I said. The word felt heavier once spoken, because my private concern had become a district record bearing my name. Malik stamped the complaint as received, gave me a copy, and kept the form. "Do not investigate beyond your normal duties," he said. "I will not," I replied. And do not approach students about their answers, Malik said. I never intended to, I replied. I left his office as a formal complainant and an employee under review. The narrow complaint protected June's privacy from my marriage, but it did not protect my career. My promotion interview was scheduled for that afternoon. Malik had not said whether it would proceed. That afternoon, I reached the district corridor 20 minutes before my promotion interview. The venue director job would have brought more pay and authority. A printed notice sat inside the office window with my interview time crossed out. I checked my phone and found a short district message saying the interview was canceled because of an open review. The message offered no replacement date or assurance that I could apply again. I returned to Malik's office and asked for a written reason. He invited me inside but left the door open. You received the notice, Malik said. I received a cancellation, I replied. I need the reason stated clearly. The conflict review prevents us from considering your advancement, he said. Does it prevent me from doing my current job? I asked. No. You remain the hourly auditorium manager, Malik replied. Then this is about the promotion only, I said. For now, he replied. Malik explained that the venue director would oversee staff records and guest access. Those duties overlapped with questions raised by my review. I asked when the interview would be restored, but Malik offered no protected date. The hiring process may finish first, he said. Then canceled means lost, I replied. It means I cannot promise another interview, Malik said. I asked whether withdrawing the complaint would change his decision. Malik looked toward the copied form on his desk. I would still have to review the record issue, he said. That answer mattered, because silence would not restore the clean path I had lost. Please put the reason in writing, I said. Malik drafted a short note while I waited. It said my interview was canceled because the conflict review remained open. The note confirmed that I still held my current job, but nothing protected a later promotion chance. I signed only to show I had received it, then folded my copy beside the complaint receipt. The district had treated my filing as both a report and a risk, which was lawful but painful. I had wanted the promotion for years and knew every curtain, loading door, and damaged seat there. Now the chance could pass to someone else before Malik reached any finding. I stood in the corridor and considered what silence might buy. It would not restore trust, June's solo, or the student's control. The complaint remained active. My professional hope had become the first direct cost of protecting that boundary. I accepted the cost without calling it fair. If you were in my place, would you protect the promotion or keep the complaint alive? I had made my choice, but the district had only begun answering it. Week 3 began Monday morning in the district mediation room. Mediation meant a structured district meeting, not marriage counseling or legal reconciliation. Malik sat across from Tessa, my wife, and the choir director, while I placed an event notice between us. It came from Nadine, the foundation patron. The notice describes Raphael as Tessa's partner, I said. That claim is false. Tessa kept her hands beneath the table while Malik read the notice. Did you approve this wording? He asked her. I did not write it, Tessa replied. That was not my question, Malik said. I saw an earlier version, she admitted. I asked when she first learned people believed we were separated. Tessa glanced toward Malik. There were assumptions during the residencies. What did Nadine believe? I asked. This meeting cannot become an affair hearing, Malik said. I am not asking you to judge the affair, I replied. I am asking for a factual correction. Malik nodded once and told me to keep the request narrow. I turned back to Tessa. Tell Nadine we were married and not separated. Tessa pressed one thumb into her palm. That wording will invite questions. The false wording already answered those questions, I replied. She said the foundation had helped fund the showcase, and a public conflict could cost the choir support. I reminded her that silence also carried a cost, because parents might believe I had attacked an accepted relationship. That affects my complaint and my standing at work, I said. Malik asked what correction would satisfy me, and I requested one plain statement. Tessa and I had not been separated during her relationship with Raphael. I will correct it, Tessa said. For the parent gathering? I asked. Yes, she replied. Malik wrote her promise in his meeting notes, then read the sentence aloud. After we both confirmed it, Malik said the state showcase preview would remain active. Raphael would still serve as guest conductor. The correction is Tessa's responsibility, Malik said. The district will not write it for her. I asked what would happen if she failed. We would address that after the gathering, he replied. That answer gave Tessa one final voluntary chance, but it gave me no protection if she stayed silent. Before we left, I asked again what Nadine had been told. Tessa stood and gathered her folder. I said I was handling things at home. That does not explain separate guest house rules, I said. Tessa did not answer, and Malik ended the meeting while keeping his written notes. I left with a witnessed promise, but not the truth behind the mistake. For one day, cautious hope felt reasonable, though the parent gathering would test Tessa's promise. That evening, parents gathered in the auditorium lobby beneath the showcase posters. Nadine Vale, the foundation patron, stood beside Raphael, the guest conductor. She raised one hand until the room settled. Our foundation welcomed Raphael throughout this residency, Nadine said. We also accepted Tessa and Raphael as a couple. Several parents turned toward me, but Nadine continued before I could reach her. We understood that Tessa and Owen were separated, she said. That allowed us to relax the guest house rules during Raphael's stays. My cautious hope ended there, and I stepped beside the display table without touching her microphone. Nadine, that account is false, I said clearly. Tessa and I were not separated. The room went still as Raphael moved between us without quite blocking my path. This is a parent gathering, Raphael said. It should not become Owen's domestic dispute. You just presented my marriage as part of your welcome, I replied. Nadine lowered the microphone, and her face tightened, although she did not leave. Tessa told me the marriage had ended in practice, she said. Did she say we were separated? I asked. Nadine looked toward the auditorium doors, but Tessa had not entered the lobby. She gave me that clear understanding, Nadine replied. I asked Nadine to correct the statement before the gathering continued, but Raphael shook his head. Owen has challenged rehearsals, coaching, and now our patron, he said. The pattern is disruption. I asked for one fact to be corrected, I replied. Nadine said she would not debate private details in front of families. They stopped being private when you announced them, I said. A few parents moved away from me while others watched without speaking. Raphael thanked Nadine for supporting artists through personal strain, then guided her back toward the microphone. That small act made his position plain because her prestige now stood between his story and my correction. Nadine resumed the gathering without withdrawing her statement and described the foundation guest house and its usual visitor limits. She also said exceptions had been made during several residency dates. I listened because those dates mattered, and the guest house kept a reservation book for every stay. I did not accuse Nadine of lying because she had repeated what she believed, although that difference did not reduce the harm. When the gathering ended, Raphael accepted handshakes near the doors while I stood alone beside the program table. Tessa's promised correction never came, so parents would remember Nadine's public version and my objection. Raphael had gained a respected witness to a false biography. I needed a response that protected students without turning their pickup line into my divorce hearing. The next evening, I placed the parent program on our kitchen table. Tessa entered, saw it, and remained by the doorway. You promised Malik you would correct Nadine, I said. I know what I promised, Tessa replied. No correction came. Tessa pulled out a chair but did not sit. That lobby was not the right place. It was the place where Nadine made the claim, I said. She surprised me, Tessa replied. You were not in the lobby. Tessa looked down at the program while I asked whether she had called Nadine afterward. She said she had not. Then call her now, I replied. The showcase is already unstable, she said. A correction could cost the choir its funding. I told her my complaint had not named the affair and addressed only the cards and their limited consent. This is bigger than your complaint now, Tessa said. It became bigger because you let a false story stand, I replied. She asked me to wait until after the showcase, when she could speak without damaging the student's chance. I had already waited through one witnessed promise. I opened the program and pointed to Raphael's note. It said, "Truth makes music real." The phrase mattered because Raphael controlled sealed student answers and now praised making truth part of the performance. Does his finale use the cards? I asked. It uses themes from the coaching process, Tessa said. That was not my question. She folded her arms. I have not seen the final script. I asked what Nadine had been told about our marriage. Tessa, this is your last chance to correct it yourself, I said. She walked to the sink and turned her back to me. After the showcase, she replied. Her delay became a refusal, so I took a blank page from June's school folder. I drafted a short notice about consent, not marriage. The notice would describe the card's limited use and ask families to verify any wider use with the district. I included no student names and did not mention Tessa, Raphael's affair, or June's removed solo. Tessa read over my shoulder. "You will make this look like revenge." "I will hand it out in a public pickup area," I replied. "I will not use a staff list." "You still work there?" she said. "I will be off duty and outside the doors." She asked me to wait one more week. I folded the notice and placed it beside the program. "No," I said. I had lost the promotion while giving the district time, and Tessa had used that time to protect a lie. Parents could judge my timing, but they still deserved the chance to ask for their children's cards back. On Wednesday afternoon, I stood outside the auditorium's public pickup doors. I was off duty and wore no access credential, while my notices came from the library copier. Families began arriving as rehearsal ended, and I offered each adult one sheet. Some accepted it without stopping, while others saw my name and walked past. One parent folded the sheet into a pocket without reading it. Nadine approached from the parking area and took a copy. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Giving families facts about the card consent," I replied. She read the notice, which said students had agreed to coaching and small rehearsal use. It asked families to contact the district about any public use or return request. "You chose the busiest pickup this week," Nadine said. "It is the one place open to every choir family," I replied. "This will look like retaliation after last night." "The notice says nothing about my marriage," I said. Nadine tapped the page. "It joins Raphael's words to a student form." "That is the concern," I replied. The sheet described the form's limited promise and named Raphael's public phrase about truth-making music real. I explained why those statements might conflict without claiming that a disclosure had already happened. Nadine asked whether Malik had approved the notice. "No," I said. "It tells families to contact his office directly." More students came through the doors while I kept my distance and spoke only to adults. I did not approach students or ask what any card contained. A few parents returned for another copy, while others dropped the notice into a nearby trash bin. Nadine watched both reactions. "You could have waited for the review," she said. "My promotion interview was canceled during that review," I replied. "That does not make this wise," Nadine said. "It makes waiting costly," I replied. She asked whether I wanted the showcase stopped. "I want informed choices," I said. "The district can decide the show." Nadine folded her copy with sharp, careful edges. She said Raphael had brought attention and funding, but I said neither gave him permission to widen consent. Then Nadine left without correcting her lobby statement. By the end of pickup, only a few sheets remained, and I carried them away from school property. The consent dispute was public now, and families might call me bitter or ignore the notice. Yet every family had received the same choice. They could leave the sealed cards in place or request control of them. I could no longer shape what happened next and could only wait without opening what belonged to the students. That evening, June, my daughter, met me at a public library work table. Several families had sent written requests to the district and given us copies to confirm delivery. The letters did not reveal card contents, but requested their sealed return to students or parents. June placed each page face down after checking its district receipt. "We sort by response status only," she said. "That is enough," I replied. We made 2 plain groups, one with district acknowledgments and one still needing them. We did not build a parent list or record phone numbers and private details. June stopped when she reached a letter without a receipt. "This family sent it this morning," she said. "They may not have an answer yet." "Then we do nothing tonight," I replied. She nodded and set it with the waiting group. The volume surprised me because these were not copies of one organized message. The wording differed, but several letters cited the same limited-use promise. The cards were meant for coaching and small rehearsal groups. "That is what I remembered," June said. She did not tell me what she had written on her card, and I did not ask. One family had brought a sealed envelope from the original coaching session because the student never gave it to Raphael. June placed it beside the parent's letter. "Do not open it, even to confirm the name," she said. "I will not," I replied. She wrote a note on the outer folder, while the sealed envelope stayed under that family's control. The process excluded me from the private truth, as it should. I asked whether June felt pushed into helping. No, she said. I want the rules to mean something. Her answer did not sound rehearsed. We checked the remaining district receipts and stopped there without calling anyone or seeking more requests. June gathered the pages for families who planned to deliver their own copies. I kept only the notice I had written and my complaint receipt. The sealed card went home with its family, and nothing private had been exposed. Yet the balance had changed because several families were no longer passive participants. They had formally demanded control of their children's words. June zipped her folder and looked at the empty table. Raphael will blame you, she said. He may, I replied. You did hand out the notice, June said. I did. That part is mine. She held my gaze. The requests are ours. I understood the difference. My action had widened the choice, but each family had acted for itself. That shared agency steadied me while giving Raphael a new path. He could avoid the consent question and accuse me of using my job against the showcase. Friday afternoon, Malik, the assistant superintendent, called me into the district rehearsal review room. Raphael sat across from him with a written complaint, while Malik pointed to an empty chair. I sat and placed my notice on the table. Raphael alleges workplace disruption and staff misuse, Malik said. My privacy complaint is still open, I replied. Yes, Malik said. This is a separate complaint against you. Raphael said I had used my district standing to alarm families and requested my removal from all showcase areas. I distributed the notice outside the public pickup doors while I was off duty, I said. You were known there as auditorium staff, Raphael replied. I did not claim district approval, I said. Malik asked whether I had used a staff contact list. No, I replied and gave him the library copy receipt and unused sheets. I also offered access to my district message account. No notice was sent from that account, I said. Raphael leaned forward. He did not need a list. He had physical access to our families. So did every adult at public pickup, I replied. Malik raised one hand and ended that exchange. He read the notice in silence, then compared it with the consent form already in his file. The notice directs families to the district, he said. That is correct, I replied. It also connects Raphael's program language to possible card use. I stated the concern, not a completed violation, I said. Raphael called the link misleading and said his phrase about truth described artistic purpose. Malik looked at him. Will the finale contain words taken from student cards? The finale is still being shaped, Raphael replied. That is not an answer, I said. Raphael turned toward me. You do not direct this program. I asked about consent, I replied. Malik told us both to stop, then asked Raphael whether any family request had been honored. Raphael said the cards were part of an active coaching file. Are they sealed? Malik asked. Most are, Raphael replied. He still did not confirm what his finale would contain. Malik marked my notice as evidence in Raphael's complaint and kept the copy receipt. Raphael repeated his demand for my backstage removal because my presence now threatened rehearsal order. I explained that my auditorium duties included safe curtain and sound operation. Removing me would require another trained worker. That is an operational issue, Malik said. It does not decide the complaint. He gave me a receipt showing that Raphael's complaint had been filed Friday. The privacy review continues, Malik said. Your employment review now includes this allegation. I asked whether I would work Monday. You will receive an access ruling Monday morning, he replied. Raphael left without answering the finale question, and I remained long enough to collect my copies. The district now had two separate complaints. Mine concerned student consent, while Raphael's placed my pay and access at risk. By Friday evening, he had shifted the pressure away from the sealed cards and onto my job. Week 4 began Monday at the district administration desk. Malik placed a suspension packet between us and turned the first page toward me. This takes effect today, he said. The suspension is unpaid. I read the dates before touching the pen beside them. The order removed me from every showcase duty during the employment review. It also barred me from backstage rooms, control stations, storage areas, and staff entrances. My access credential was the staff badge that opened those restricted doors. Malik had already ordered the badge disabled. Does signing mean I accept Raphael's claims? I asked. It only confirms that you received the terms, Malik replied. He showed me the sentence that made that distinction clear. I signed beneath it and wrote the time beside my name. The next page listed my lawful route through the review. I could submit records through Malik's office and attend scheduled review meetings. I could also answer each allegation in writing by Friday afternoon. My suspension did not block me from public district offices or public performances. It only removed my staff authority, pay, and restricted access. Will the student privacy review continue? I asked. Yes, Malik said. The parent requests require a separate response. Will Raphael continue directing rehearsals? His residency remains active under the current contract. The answer gave Raphael the stage while taking it from me. Malik said another trained worker would operate sound and curtains during my suspension. I asked whether that person had received the full showcase cue sheet. That is now an operational matter, Malik replied. It is also a safety matter, I said. Malik held my gaze, then added my concern to the meeting record. He gave me a stamped copy before closing the file. We walked to the auditorium staff entrance without speaking. My badge still hung from the belt clip I had worn for years. I pressed it against the door reader one final time. The reader flashed red, and the lock stayed closed. Malik held out a small evidence envelope for the badge. I removed the clip, placed the credential inside, and sealed it. He signed the receipt and passed me the duplicate. You may not enter behind anyone else, Malik said. I understand the access ban, I replied. I also understood what the badge had once meant. It had marked me as the person trusted with locked doors and moving curtains. Now Raphael kept his rehearsal authority while I stood outside my own workplace. I folded the suspension terms and kept every page together. Those papers protected my right to answer, but they did not restore my pay. They also gave me no staff route to June or the sealed cards. I left through the public walkway with my hands empty. My next action had to protect students without crossing the ban Malik had imposed. That afternoon, June, my daughter, returned to the choir rehearsal hall for her music. I learned the details from June and the paper she brought home. Raphael met her at the doorway before she entered the room. He carried her music folder and a one-page rehearsal condition. I restored your solo, he told her. This is your final artistic opportunity. June took the page but did not step inside. The condition tied her solo to 2 private coaching sessions with Raphael. It also required her full participation in his revised finale. The page described that finale as music shaped by personal truth. At the bottom, Raphael had added her funded tour place. His program paid the travel, lodging, meals, and performance costs. Our family could not replace that funding on our own. June read the condition twice, while Raphael waited beside the door. Does my tour place depend on closed coaching? She asked. The program must trust its featured singers, Raphael replied. That sounds like yes. It means commitment, he said. You cannot keep one foot outside the work. June asked whether she had to discuss anything from her truth card. Raphael said he would never force a student to reveal private material. Then he said the finale could not succeed without honest, personal truth. The 2 statements left no safe space between them. June pointed to the tour line and asked why it had been added. Raphael called the tour an earned place, not an automatic benefit. He said a featured singer had to accept the complete artistic process. June reminded him that she had already withdrawn from closed coaching. You withdrew under your father's pressure, Raphael said. That was my choice, June replied. Raphael told her the choice now carried professional consequences. June did not argue about his use of that word. She asked for her folder and the loose music inside it. Raphael handed over the folder but kept the condition page extended. I need your answer by tomorrow, he said. I will give you my answer tomorrow, June replied. She wrote received, not accepted, beside the date. Then she photographed the page and kept the original he had given her. Raphael stepped aside, and June collected nothing else from the room. She left without rehearsing the restored solo. The solo had once been something she wanted badly. Now Raphael had wrapped it around a larger opportunity we could not afford. He had also presented pressure as if it were permission. Permission allowed June to say yes or no without punishment. Pressure made the cost of saying no painful and immediate. Raphael had made that cost the funded tour tied to his program. June came home with her music, her unsigned condition, and wounded pride. She had not accepted his terms, but she had not refused them yet. That answer had to belong to her, even if losing the tour hurt us both. That evening, June sat beside me on our front steps. She laid the tour condition across her closed music folder. I read it once, then returned it without marking anything. "I can send a guardian refusal tonight," I said. June shook her head before I finished the thought. "No, Dad. You cannot answer this one for me." "I can withdraw permission for closed coaching," I replied. "You already did, and I agreed with that decision." She tapped the line about the funded tour. "This part is my choice," she said. "I need to refuse it myself." I wanted to spare her from standing before Raphael again. That urge felt clean until I heard what she was asking. She was not requesting permission to accept his condition. She was asking me to stop taking control of her answer. "I do not want your job fight attached to my refusal," she said. "It already affects you," I replied. "That does not make my voice yours." June opened her folder and found the restored solo. She hummed the first line, then stopped before the final note. "I still love this music," she said. "You are allowed to love it. I am also allowed to leave it." We sat quietly while she studied the marked score. Raphael had turned a song into proof of obedience. June refused to let him define her love of singing that way. I asked what support she wanted from me. "Help me make the words clear," she said. "Do not choose them." I took a blank page from her folder and held it steady. June wrote that she refused closed coaching and private disclosure. She also refused any tour condition tied to those demands. Her note did not mention the contents of her card. It did not accuse Raphael of crimes or guess at his motives. It named his condition and gave her answer. "Do you want me beside you?" I asked. "You cannot enter the rehearsal area," June replied. "I can wait outside the public doors. I want Mom there when I give it to him." Tessa was still June's mother, despite everything between us. June wanted her to witness what Raphael's leverage would cost. I felt a sharp wish to control that meeting anyway. Then I folded my hands and let the wish pass. "Will you tell me afterward?" I asked. "Yes, but I decide what details are mine." "That is fair," I said. June read the refusal aloud once and changed a single word. She replaced allowed with chose. The change mattered because Raphael had framed obedience as access. June framed refusal as her own act. She slid the note behind the tour condition and closed the folder. I had spent weeks trying to shield her through withdrawal. On those front steps, protection meant yielding the final choice. I feared what her answer would cost, but I respected whose answer it was. Later that evening, Beth Ames knocked on my temporary bedroom door. Beth, the choir accompanist, carried a thin folder and 2 paper cups. I had moved into that room after separating my space from Tessa's. Beth set the cups on the desk, but kept the folder closed. "I found my note from the hidden rehearsal," she said. She opened to a dated page from her own accompaniment log. The entry recorded Tessa's attendance at the rehearsal she later denied. Beth had also written down Tessa's request for secrecy that same night. The note said, Tessa asked Beth not to list her in the shared schedule. It also recorded that Tessa wanted her attendance kept between them. "I wrote it after she left," Beth said. "I knew the request was wrong." "Did anyone ask you to make this note?" "No. It was my own rehearsal record." That made the page independent evidence, not something created for me. I asked Beth to send it directly to Malik from her own account. She agreed and said she would keep the original. I did not touch the page beyond reading what she showed me. Beth closed the folder, but she did not stand. "You should not stay in this house if it is hurting you," she said. "I cannot afford another place while my pay is stopped." "You could use my spare room." Her voice stayed calm, though her hands tightened around 1 paper cup. I thanked her and said that arrangement would not be wise. Beth looked toward the closed door before answering. "My offer is not entirely neutral," she said. I had felt that truth gathering between us for several weeks. Her kindness had reached me when my marriage became hard to recognize. That did not make either of us ready for something new. "I care about you," I said. "I cannot use that care as an exit." Beth nodded once, though the answer clearly hurt. "I should not have put you under another kind of pressure," she said. "You offered, and I am answering honestly." I told her I wanted her friendship without a hidden promise behind it. I could not ask her to wait or treat comfort as consent. Beth took a slow breath and met my eyes. "Then friendship is the boundary," she said. "Yes, if that is enough for you. It will have to be honest enough for both of us." She opened her phone and sent the dated note to Malik. The message identified the original record and offered it for inspection. Beth showed me the delivery confirmation, then put her phone away. Her evidence gave Malik another factual path into Tessa's concealment. Her acceptance also kept loneliness from becoming its own excuse. When Beth left, the room felt smaller and cleaner at once. I still had no pay, badge, or easy place to go. I did have a friend whose support came with a spoken boundary. The next morning, Malik admitted me to his document review room. My suspension allowed scheduled review meetings inside district offices. It did not restore my access to the auditorium or backstage doors. Raphael sat across from Malik with a thick finale script. Several parent card return requests lay in a separate folder. Malik said those requests required him to inspect the submitted material. He opened the script while Raphael watched every page turn. The first section contained ordinary song notes and spoken transitions. The later pages changed the nature of the review. Each private phrase had a student's identifying initials beside it. Some entries also named a choir section or featured part. Together, those details pointed toward specific students in the program. Malik did not read any private phrase aloud. Neither did I, though the pattern was clear from the page. "This is anonymized artistic material," Raphael said. "No full names appear." "Initials do not make it anonymous here," I replied. The choir students knew each other's sections, solos, and speaking parts. A shortened private phrase could still identify the student who wrote it. Malik compared the script with June's limited-use consent form. The form allowed cards for coaching and small rehearsal groups. It did not permit public quotation during the showcase. "Where is the public use permission?" Malik asked. Raphael pointed toward the coaching language on the form. "That permission covers the creative process," he said. "It does not cover this audience," I replied. Raphael said he had shaped the wording until it became performance text. He argued that editing removed any direct link to the cards. Malik turned to another page and found the same pairing again. The script still connected private phrases with identifying student details. Changing a few words did not remove the source or the risk. "Were these phrases taken from sealed cards?" Malik asked. "Some came from coaching discussions," Raphael replied. "That is not the question," Malik said. Raphael admitted that card material had informed the finale draft. He called the cards voluntary and described the result as shared art. I placed June's form beside the script without covering either page. "Voluntary writing is not permission for public use," I said. Raphael accused me of reducing students to legal language. I told him the language preserved each student's choice. Malik stopped the exchange and marked the relevant script pages. He also noted Beth's separately submitted record for the broader review. The immediate question remained the finale and its card material. Parent requests had moved that threat from inference to paper. Malik now held a script that joined students to recognizable private words. He could no longer treat the dispute as my fear alone. Raphael gathered his hands around the closed script, but could not remove it. Malik retained the submitted copy as part of the district review. The next decision belonged to him, along with responsibility for the result. That afternoon, Malik called us back into his district office. He placed a one-page order before Raphael and another before me. The first sentence banned all student truth card material from the showcase. Malik read the full restriction aloud for the meeting record. "No card words, paraphrases, or identifying details may be used," he said. The order covered spoken lines, lyrics, introductions, and improvised remarks. It also barred material taken from private coaching discussions. Raphael read the page without touching the pen. "You are removing the structure of my finale," he said. "I am removing material without public use consent," Malik replied. Raphael asked whether the district was canceling the showcase. Malik said the performance would continue under the written restriction. That answer brought relief, but only within a narrow space. The cards were protected on paper, while Raphael kept the stage. My suspension and access ban also remained in force. I could attend through public doors like any other parent. I could not enter the control station or any restricted area. "Who will check the final script?" I asked. "A designated district employee will review it," Malik said. Raphael requested control of the live script folder during the performance. He said last-minute musical changes required one working copy near him. Malik allowed the folder, but required a clean final draft by Friday. Any later change still had to follow the no-card order. Raphael signed beneath that condition and pushed the page back. His face showed no agreement beyond the motion of the pen. "What happens if he changes the live pages?" I asked. "The written order still controls," Malik replied. "That does not tell me who stops a violation." Malik said the assigned staff would report any breach immediately. I knew how fast a live sentence could cross an auditorium. A report made afterward could not pull private words from the audience. Raphael closed his script folder and rested one hand across it. "You assume I intend to defy an order," he said. "I know you kept this material after families requested its return," I replied. Malik ended the exchange before Raphael answered. He gave each of us a signed copy of the restriction. Then he reminded me that the order did not change my suspension. "I understand," I said. "I need the violation defined clearly." Malik pointed to the central sentence again. Card words, paraphrases, or identifying details were forbidden in any form. That language gave me an observable line, though it gave me no authority. Raphael still controlled the revised live pages and the finale itself. I left with written proof that the district had recognized the danger. For the first time, the students' private words had a direct order protecting them. Yet the showcase remained active, and Raphael remained at its center. The gap between a written rule and a live stage now mattered most. I needed to know what I would do if that gap opened. Week 5 began Monday morning at the Foundation guest house. Nadine, the Foundation patron, met me inside her small booking office. A wide reservation book rested between us on the desk. The book tracked guests, room assignments, overnight stays, keys, and special permissions. Nadine had used it for years instead of a computer. She kept one hand on the cover without opening it. "I trusted what Tessa told me," she said. "She told you we were separated," I replied. Nadine nodded, because that belief had shaped every favor she granted Raphael. It also explained why she had praised them before the parents. Looking now meant admitting that her own choices had helped the lie. I placed 4 scheduling pages beside the reservation book. They were copies I had handled during my regular auditorium duties. The pages covered March 14th, May 9th, August 22nd, and October 8th. Each date matched a residency booking requested by Raphael. Tessa had approved each booking. 3 included access changes she made. The March page also showed when she removed me as emergency contact. I had removed student names because they did not matter here. Nadine opened the book to March 14th. Raphael held the main guest room for 3 nights. A signed line listed Tessa as his approved overnight guest for 2 of them. The key issue and return times appeared beneath her name. "That is not merely a second key," Nadine said. "I recorded her stay." She turned to May 9th. The same kind of entry named Tessa as an overnight guest during Raphael's closed residency. Her key was returned the next morning. The August 22nd entry showed another approved overnight stay. My scheduled copy showed Tessa changing room access for that residency. Nadine checked October 8th last. The book recorded Tessa arriving after the Foundation dinner and returning her key the following morning. Her name appeared in the overnight column again. The entries did not prove what happened inside the guest house. They also could not establish who designed the larger plan. They did establish repeated stays during Raphael's closed residencies. Nadine leaned back and looked toward the guest house hallway. "I stopped enforcing the visitor rule for them," she said, "because you believed we had separated." "Yes," Nadine said, and her answer carried no defense. She wrote the 4 confirmed dates on a clean sheet. Beside each date, she listed my scheduling page and her matching entry. Then she signed her name beneath the comparison. "This confirms that Tessa stayed here," she said. "It does not explain her whole role. That part has to come from Tessa." Nadine closed the reservation book, but kept the signed sheet outside it. She had once used that book to make Raphael welcome. Now it weakened the public story that protected him. "I made my statement in front of the parents," she said. "I need to correct it in front of them." She called Malik and requested time at the afternoon briefing. Then she removed Raphael's Foundation endorsement from her prepared remarks. The book had given me narrow relief, not complete truth. It had given Nadine a harder choice. This time she made it before leaving the room. That afternoon, parents gathered in the auditorium lobby. I entered through the public doors under my suspension rules. My disabled staff badge remained inside my wallet. Nadine stood near the briefing table with her signed date sheet. Raphael arrived moments before she was scheduled to speak. He moved close enough to keep their exchange private. I stayed beside Nadine because the comparison included my work copies. Raphael looked down at her sheet. "Guest house records do not prove an affair," he said. "They prove repeated stays during closed residencies," Nadine replied. My separation claim was still false. He asked her to wait until after the showcase. He said a correction would distract families and harm the residency. Nadine told him that delay would repeat her first mistake. Raphael called the entries informal and open to interpretation. He said an approved overnight stay did not establish its purpose. "The purpose is not mine to claim," Nadine said. "The false statement is mine to correct." Malik called the briefing to order from inside the lobby doors. He did not invite questions about my marriage. The meeting concerned student cards, the showcase, and foundation support. Nadine stepped forward when her name was called. Parents turned toward the woman who had praised Raphael weeks earlier. She held the reservation book against her side. Her correction took one direct sentence. "I wrongly said Owen and Tessa were separated, and my records show Tessa stayed during several of Raphael's closed residencies." No one interrupted her. Nadine explained that her book recorded rooms, approved overnight guests, and returned keys. She named only the 4 dates we had verified together. She did not claim the book proved Tessa's complete purpose. She also did not hide behind that limit. Nadine said she had relaxed the guesthouse visitor rule. She had done so because she believed Tessa was separated from me. That belief came from Tessa and was false. Then Nadine withdrew the Foundation's personal endorsement of Raphael. The Foundation would meet later about the residency itself. Raphael waited until she finished. "This is a domestic dispute dressed as arts oversight," he said. "It became my responsibility when I validated your story," Nadine replied. He looked toward me. I did not answer for Nadine or add claims to her evidence. Her correction belonged to her. Parents shifted their attention from me to Raphael. Several checked the card return papers they carried. The change felt like vindication, but only part of it. Raphael had lost his strongest outside protector. He had not lost the district's stage. Malik's written order still allowed the showcase to continue. Raphael's access credentials still opened restricted doors, while mine opened nothing. When the briefing ended, Nadine handed Malik her signed comparison sheet. Raphael walked through the backstage entrance without looking back. The door accepted his badge on the first try. I remained in the public lobby with the parents. The false biography had finally been corrected where it began. The danger behind the stage door remained untouched. That evening, June told me what happened after student dismissal. My daughter had stayed in the rehearsal hall with Raphael and Tessa. Tessa was my wife, the choir director, and June's mother. June gave me the account soon after she came home. Tessa confirmed its central words later that night. Raphael had placed June's old solo music on a chair. He told her the part could still be restored. The funded tour could also remain possible, he said. His offer required one closed coaching session before the showcase. June would also have to accept his revised finale process. Tessa stood near the piano while he explained the condition. She did not interrupt him. June asked whether the session would use student truth cards. Raphael said honest music required personal material. He promised that every phrase would be shaped with artistic care. June pointed out that Malik's order banned card material. Raphael called the session private preparation, not public use. He said the final performance would follow district rules. Then he warned June that this was her last chance. If she refused, he would finalize the tour list without her. June looked at the solo pages but did not pick them up. "I will not trade our private cards for my solo or the tour," she said. Her refusal was clear, and she did not repeat it. Raphael removed the music from the chair and said the decision was final. June told me his voice stayed calm throughout the exchange. That calm made the price feel planned. Tessa finally asked what he meant by the revised finale process. Raphael described student truths becoming a shared closing statement. Tessa stared at the folder beneath his hand. "That was the frame in the early drafts," she said. Raphael told her those drafts no longer mattered. He claimed the current version followed Malik's order. Tessa asked why June needed closed coaching if the cards were gone. Raphael said he would not defend his methods again. He gathered the solo pages and placed them inside his folder. June left the rehearsal hall without them. She had protected her choice, but she still grieved the result. At home, she sat across from me at the kitchen table. Her hands stayed folded around a glass of water. "I wanted that trip," she said. "I know. I still want it." That mattered more than any brave speech. June had not refused because the loss felt small. She refused while knowing exactly how much it cost. I told her the condition had never been fair. She said fairness would not restore the tour. There was nothing useful I could say to that. Raphael had turned access into leverage again. This time, June had answered for herself. She went upstairs without asking me to fix the outcome. Tessa remained downstairs with the knowledge she had recognized. The language in Raphael's offer came from drafts she knew. June's refusal had removed Tessa's last excuse to stay silent. Later that evening, Malik joined us at our dining room table. My suspension allowed a scheduled district meeting at home. Tessa placed a signed disclosure before him. Beside it sat 3 early finale drafts and collection instructions. Her handwritten notes covered the margins of every draft. Malak checked the page count before he began reading. I watched Tessa initial each attached record. She did not ask for privacy, mercy, or a private agreement. The disclosure began with the false separation story. Tessa wrote that she told Raphael and Nadine we were separated. She knew we remained in a monogamous marriage. She used that story to make the guest house stays seem proper. The next section addressed the residency bookings. Tessa admitted changing choir schedules to create closed blocks. She had described those changes to me as student needs. In fact, several changes gave her private time with Raphael. Her attached date list matched Nadine's reservation book. The third section addressed the truth cards. Tessa wrote the first collection instructions with Raphael. She told students the cards were for coaching and small groups. She helped arrange sealed collection boxes and private sorting sessions. She never requested permission for public quotation. The early drafts showed why that omission mattered. Tessa's notes placed card themes inside the finale structure. Some notes connected those themes with sections and featured singers. Malik did not read any student wording aloud. He compared the drafts with the submitted script from his review. The structure had survived even where wording had changed. "You helped build the system," Malik said. "Yes," Tessa replied. "And you knew the consent was limited." "Yes," Tessa said. She explained that Raphael pushed for more direct public use later. That fact did not remove her part. She had created the path and helped fill it with private material. She also concealed our marriage while doing it. I asked why she had brought everything now. Tessa looked at the signed disclosure before answering. "June paid the price today for something I helped build." Her answer did not repair 7 months. It did not restore June's solo or return my lost pay. Still, it named Tessa's agency without shifting it onto Raphael. Malik marked the disclosure received and signed the date. He took custody of the drafts and collection instructions. Tessa kept 1 copy of her own statement. The physical pages closed the remaining gap in the evidence, and changed bookings, guest house stays, and draft language now joined together. Tessa had not merely followed Raphael into an affair. She helped design the card process that gave him power over students. Malik warned that the district review would continue. A voluntary disclosure did not settle employment consequences. "I understand," Tessa said. She then placed her auditorium keys beside the disclosure copy. Malik said he could accept them after a formal employment action. Tessa picked them up again. "I will bring them with my resignation tomorrow." I believed her because the papers were already beyond her control. Raphael could no longer claim he designed the finale alone. Tessa could no longer protect herself by waiting for him to leave. Her confession arrived before the performance forced it from her. The next action had to do the same. The next morning, we met in Malik's district office. Tessa carried her keys and a sealed document envelope. I attended as part of the existing review process. My suspension and access ban remained active. Malik opened the meeting by stating that resignation meant resignation. It would not erase the district's review or excuse past conduct. Tessa said she understood. She removed a signed letter from the envelope. The first line made her resignation effective immediately, before the showcase. She would not take the stage as choir director. She would not direct students or control card materials. Malik read the letter once and set it flat. "You may still face findings in the completed review," he said. "I am not asking you to stop it," Tessa replied. She returned her auditorium keys and card cabinet key. She also surrendered the collection roster and return log. A folder held every remaining instruction sheet in her possession. Malik counted the items against her signed list. Tessa then placed her staff access credential on his desk. Her phone lit up while Malik finished the count. Raphael's name appeared above a short message. Tessa read it and turned the screen toward Malik and me. Raphael wanted her to delay any action until after the performance. He said the choir needed stability and a united public appearance. A second message asked her to call before submitting anything. Tessa turned the phone face down. He wants the resignation after the applause, she said. Malik told her the choice remained hers. Tessa pushed the signed letter toward him. I am submitting it now. Malik wrote the time of receipt beneath his signature. He disabled her staff access while we sat there. The act was quiet and immediate. Tessa's position ended before Raphael stepped onto the stage. She could no longer change bookings or control student records. She could not enter restricted areas without district permission. For the first time, her accountability did not depend on Raphael. He had not abandoned her or admitted his own conduct. No public exposure had forced the letter from her hand. She acted while delay still offered her some protection. Malik placed the resignation in the review file. He reminded us that the scheduled showcase would still proceed. Raphael remained the contracted guest conductor for that performance. The no-card order remained in force, and so did my suspension. Tessa looked at me after Malik finished. I know this does not make us even, she said. It does not, I replied. That was the only honest answer. Her resignation brought no reunion and no clean ending. It did remove her authority over the students she had failed. When we left, Tessa used the public elevator with me. Her keys, badge, and card materials stayed upstairs. Raphael still held the revised live folder. He still controlled the scheduled performance within Malik's written limit. Tessa had stepped away before applause could protect her. I remained outside the doors that mattered most. At the end of week 5, the auditorium lobby opened for showcase ticket pickup. It was the evening before the performance. I entered through the public doors like any other parent. My access credential remained disabled. June walked beside me through the lobby. She had accepted that Raphael would not restore her tour place. The district had not yet issued its final tour decision. I needed to understand what public access still allowed. We entered the auditorium through the main audience doors. From our seats, I studied the route toward House Control. House Control was the audience side station for sound and curtains. I had managed that station for years. Reaching it required crossing the rear aisle and opening a low gate. The route never entered a backstage hallway. The station itself was still restricted under my ban. I walked the public aisle once without touching the gate. No equipment cases or extra chairs blocked the path. From the rear aisle, I could see the stage and main curtain. I could also see the marked area where the curtain traveled. The control station gave a clearer view of that path. June watched me measure the route with my eyes. You think he will break the order? She said. I think the order may not stop the first sentence. I explained what would count as a violation. A change in tone would not be enough. Neither would Raphael opening his private folder. I would move only after audible card use began. That meant a private passage, a paraphrase, or an identifying detail. Each was barred by Malik's written order. June asked what I could do after the words were spoken. I gave her the sequence once. First, I would cut Raphael's live microphone. Then I would confirm the marked curtain path was clear. Only then would I lower the main curtain. The microphone came first because it stopped more words. The path check came next because no curtain justified hurting someone. The main curtain would end the performance if Raphael continued. Crossing the gate would violate my access ban. Using the controls could end my district employment. It could also close any last district appeal for June's tour. Waiting carried its own cost. A report filed afterward could not remove private words from memory. At home, June and I sat at the kitchen table. I showed her Malik's order and pointed to the exact restriction. She did not ask me to protect her solo or tour. She asked whether I would act for any student's card. Yes, I said. Even if mine is not used? Yes, I replied. June looked down at the order. Then tell me before you do it. That request stopped me. She had spent weeks watching adults make private choices around her. I would not turn protection into another secret. I will wait for the exact boundary, I said. Then I will move. June understood what that choice could cost us. She also understood that I might never need to make it. Malik's order could hold, and Raphael could obey it through the final note. That hope was still real, but I would not confuse it with safety. If you had been in my seat, would you have trusted the order or crossed the line after the first private words? I had made my choice. Now I had to hold my place until Raphael made his. Week 6 ended with every auditorium seat sold. I entered through the public doors and took an aisle seat. House control stood behind me across the rear aisle. My disabled credentials stayed inside my wallet. Raphael waited at the podium with his approved program folder. A second group of pages rested beneath it. June stood in the middle row of the student choir. She wore the same concert black as everyone else. Her solo had not been restored, so she would sing only with the ensemble, under the limits she chose. The house lights faded, and Raphael raised both hands. The first piece began without any speech from him. I watched the stage, then checked the control station behind me. A district employee sat there with the written cue sheet. The main curtain remained open. Raphael moved through the first half with careful restraint. He introduced each piece using approved program notes. He made no mention of truth cards or private coaching. During one introduction, he looked toward the rear aisle. His gaze passed over me without stopping, while I kept my hands on my knees. The choir finished a difficult piece with clean, steady sound. June stayed inside the group and watched Raphael's hands. Nothing about her performance asked for pity. She had lost the featured place and the funded tour. Still, she gave the music her full attention. At intermission, parents stood and spoke around me. Several people glanced back at the control station. I remained in my seat because no boundary had been crossed. The second half followed the same pattern. Raphael conducted the approved music and used only approved remarks. Malik's no-card order appeared to be holding. With each safe piece, my fear looked less reasonable. That was what I wanted. I wanted to leave through the public doors with no excuse to cross the gate. I wanted my threshold to remain only a plan. June sang the last ensemble passage before the finale. Her voice disappeared into the larger sound exactly as she intended. Raphael lowered his hands, and the applause rose around us. He waited for silence before facing the audience. "Our final work is about the courage to be known," he said. The sentence was broad enough to be allowed, so I stayed seated. Raphael turned back toward the podium and closed the approved folder. Then he drew out the revised pages underneath it. They were the same loose pages I had seen before my suspension. He placed them above the printed score. The choir began the finale with a low, sustained chord. Raphael conducted 8 quiet measures without speaking. My shoulders loosened by a small degree. Perhaps the revised pages held only musical notes. Perhaps Malik's order had reached him after all. Raphael leaned toward the live microphone and began a sentence about one student's safest room. I knew that opening from the prohibited script beside student initials. The private words had begun. I rose before Raphael reached the next private detail. The rear aisle remained open, just as I had checked. I crossed it and lifted the low gate into house control. Entering that station broke my access ban. The district employee turned toward me, but I already knew the board. Raphael's live microphone used one marked control. I pressed it once, and his amplified voice vanished before he could finish the sentence. The choir's held chord continued across the room. Raphael tapped the microphone and looked toward house control. "This performance will continue," he called without amplification. His voice carried only through the first rows, and I did not answer him. The microphone cut had stopped the immediate disclosure. The curtain required a separate safety check. I looked across the full-marked path where the fabric would travel. June and the other singers remained behind that line. No music stand, cable, or person blocked the route. I checked the stage left edge, then the stage right edge. Both sides were clear before I placed my hand on the curtain control. Raphael turned toward the choir and lifted his arms again. He tried to restart the passage without the live microphone. Several singers watched him without singing, while June stood still in the middle row. I pressed and held the control for the main curtain. The ordinary fabric barrier began moving across the stage. Its motor made a low, steady sound above the crowd. Raphael stepped away from the traveling edge. I kept watching both sides as the curtain closed. No student crossed the marked path. The first curtain error had happened 90 seconds before its cue. That accident had exposed what Tessa and Raphael concealed. This curtain moved because I chose the exact moment. I had waited through every lawful piece, the applause, the approved introduction, and the opening music. I moved only after Raphael used private card material allowed. The curtain reached the center and closed fully, hiding the choir from public view. For several seconds, the room held only confused voices and shifting seats. The showcase could not continue as planned. I released the control and stepped away from the board. The district employee restored the house lights but left Raphael's microphone off. Parents began moving toward the aisles. I knew what my actions had protected. No second card passage had reached the audience. No student had to wonder which private sentence would come next. I also knew what I had ended. The sold-out showcase was canceled during its finale. My unauthorized entry had been witnessed by 1,200 people. Raphael's tour decision still hung over June. My annual district contract now depended on a review I could not win by pretending I had obeyed. June appeared through a side public door after the choir cleared the stage. She found me beside the rear aisle. I had told her I would move after the exact boundary. Now the curtain stood closed behind her, and every cost had started moving toward us. The audience emptied into the public lobby after the cancellation. I stood beside a wall and wrote my account while details remained fresh. I recorded the time, Raphael's opening subject, and my control sequence. I also noted when the main curtain finished closing. My microphone cut had protected the students, but it created a problem. The strongest possible recording of further violations did not exist. Raphael entered the lobby carrying both program folders and came directly toward me. "You destroyed the context," he said. "You made one harmless line sound dangerous." "I stopped after card material began," I replied. "You stopped before anyone could hear what I meant." "That was the purpose," I said. Several parents watched us from the lobby doors. Nadine, the foundation patron, crossed the lobby from the ticket table. She held her phone and the reservation book used for her public correction. Malik's written cancellation notice had reached her phone, and it ended Raphael's school access at once. Nadine had sponsored his temporary district credential through the residency. She had also signed for its return. "Give me the credential," she told Raphael. He kept one hand over the badge clipped inside his jacket. "Owen created this disruption," Raphael said. "He entered a restricted station and cut a lawful performance." Nadine did not look away. "The district can judge Owen's conduct," she said. "Your access has ended." Raphael removed the credential but held it between two fingers. "This badge does not decide whether I conduct." "No," Nadine replied. "It decides whether you enter these schools." She held out her hand until he placed the credential in it. The surrender did not end Raphael's career or outside work. It ended his district residency and access to students here. Nadine turned so the parents near the doors could hear her. "My foundation endorsement is withdrawn," she said. "I will not sponsor Mr. Crane in another school program." Raphael's expression tightened, but he did not ask her to reconsider. Instead, he lifted the revised folder. "These pages would prove my purpose if Owen had allowed the work to continue." I looked at the folder but did not reach for it. "My report will state what I heard and what I stopped," I said. "It will also state what I did." Raphael wanted my access violation to replace his own conduct. The district review would have to consider both. Nadine placed his credential inside the reservation book and closed it. Months earlier, her records had supported Raphael's false public story. Now her records and public choice removed that support. Raphael walked through the lobby's public exit with his folders. He still had his version of me, but no longer had a district door that his badge could open. 3 days later, I attended the district review with June. Malik, the assistant superintendent, sat across from us. A folder on the table held the final findings. He began with Raphael's conduct. The district had compared the revised pages with the protected script. The opening Raphael used matched material barred by Malik's order. My action had prevented any further public passage. "That finding is separate from your conduct," Malik told me. "I understand," I said. He asked whether I knew my credential remained disabled that night. "Yes," I replied. He asked whether I understood the house control gate marked restricted access. "Yes," I told him. "Did you enter anyway?" Malik asked. "I did." I described the threshold I had set before the showcase. Then I gave the sequence without softening any part. I had cut the live microphone, confirmed the marked curtain path was clear, and lowered the main curtain. That action had ended the event. Malik rested one hand on the findings. "Your purpose was protective," he said. "Your entry and equipment use were still unauthorized." Both statements were true. He explained that my unpaid suspension would not be reversed. I would receive no back pay for those days. The existing contract review also supported termination, so my district employment ended that afternoon. I would not return as auditorium manager or regain building access. The promotion interview canceled earlier would not be restored. Malik slid the written decision toward me. The same folder held the final tour notice for June. Her funded place on Raphael's outside tour remained canceled. His school credential did not control work outside the district. The district would not restore her to his list. June read the notice before setting it down. "So the tour is gone?" she said. "Yes," Malik replied. "That decision is final." "Because my father stopped him?" June asked. Malik paused before answering. "Raphael removed you before the showcase," he said. "Your father's violation ended the district appeal that remained." I felt that sentence settle between us. June looked at me, but I did not ask her to excuse the loss. "I knew the appeal could disappear," I told her. "You also knew he had started reading," she said. "Yes," I replied. June folded the tour notice once. "I said no to him before that night," she said. "The tour was already his price." Malik acknowledged that her refusal appeared in the review record. It did not change the final travel decision. The district had confirmed Raphael's violation and ended his school access. Those facts did not save my job. I signed the line showing that I had received the ruling. My signature did not say I agreed with every judgment. It said the loss was now official. June carried her tour notice when we left the room, while I carried the termination letter. Neither paper gave us back what the other had cost. 1 week after my termination, we met at the public card return desk. Tessa, my estranged wife and June's mother, arrived carrying the final return log. Her district position and access remained ended. The sealed envelopes were arranged by student name. Each family received its own envelope without any public reading. Unclaimed cards had been mailed under the same sealed process. The district's closing notice confirmed every card was returned. June found her name on the log. Tessa passed the sealed envelope across the desk without opening it. June checked the seal and placed the card inside her bag. Its contents remained hers. My name also appeared again as June's emergency contact. The corrected school record required both parents to approve any future change. Tessa showed me the printed confirmation. "I should never have removed you," she said. "No, you should not have," I replied. That afternoon, we met at our dining room table. The legal separation papers rested between us with the co-parenting terms. Shared grief had not repaired the marriage beneath them. Tessa read the schedule once more. We would keep separate homes and written pickup times. School, health, and music decisions required notice to both parents. Neither of us could offer June's performances as leverage. Private coaching required June's agreement, not just a parent's signature. Any public use of her words required separate written permission. Tessa touched the page, but did not sign yet. "We could wait until June feels steadier," she said. June sat at the end of the table with her sealed card. "Do not use my tour to keep this open," June replied. Tessa lowered her eyes. "I was thinking about all three of us." "That is why the terms matter," I said. I did not want a false peace built around June's loss. 7 months of concealment could not become a softer story, because we were grieving. Tessa signed first, and I signed after her. The filed terms made our legal separation effective. They also set the boundaries for school contact, pickups, and shared decisions. Tessa received no promise of reconciliation. I received no promise that forgiveness would arrive on a schedule. A separate district notice explained Malik's new consent rules. Private student prompts now required clear written limits before collection. Public quotation required a second choice. Students could refuse or withdraw without losing a solo, trip, or class role. Returned materials had to be tracked until every student regained control. The rules arrived too late to protect June's tour. They would apply before another student trusted a sealed envelope to an adult. June placed her recital date on the kitchen calendar before leaving. The event was several weeks away at the public library. Tessa and I agreed to attend without sitting together. Those were not warm terms, but they were honest ones. Several weeks later, June chose the public library recital room. It held folding chairs, a plain piano, and one low platform. No banner promised travel status or professional notice. Beth, the choir accompanist, sat at the piano as June's friend. She had accepted my boundary and never turned support into a claim. She gave me a brief nod, then returned to the music. Tessa entered through the side aisle before the recital began. She stopped beside my row, but did not take the open chair. "June asked for separate rows," she said. "I know," I replied. Tessa sat 2 rows ahead on the left. I remained near the back on the right. We could both see June without performing a marriage that no longer existed. Other families filled the modest room. June waited beside the piano with her hands relaxed. She wore a simple blue dress and carried no program folder. Her private card stayed sealed at home. Nothing from it would introduce her song or explain her face. Before the first note, June looked toward both rows. "I picked this room and this song," she said. "That is enough for me." "It is enough," I replied. Tessa turned slightly in her chair. "We are here on your terms," she said. June nodded once. Beth placed her hands over the keys, and the room became still. There was no guest conductor near the piano. No one held a tour place above June's head. No one asked her to trade private truth for a stronger part. Beth played the opening measure with quiet care. June took one breath and began. Her voice sounded smaller than it had inside the auditorium. The library walls gave it nowhere grand to hide. That did not make the recital a defeat. June had chosen the room, the music, and the people allowed to hear. She could stop without punishment or continue without owing anyone more. She continued. Tessa stayed in her row, and I stayed in mine. We were legally separate and still June's parents. The distance between us no longer needed a false explanation. I had no district keys, control station, or promised promotion. June had no funded tour. Beth remained her accompanist and my friend. The losses did not disappear when the song grew stronger. They simply stopped deciding what the song meant. I listened from my separate row while June sang the music she had chosen.